because you do get that flexibility, right? You can play it towards Xiaohu top lane, you can play it towards Wei in the jungle, and still be totally fine.
I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You got yourself the Lee Sin. The bans are the exact same. The salty runback is still on the cards for this particular one as JDG now see what they want to prioritize. They themselves may look for the Jayce, but I don't know if I feel this one right now. If you're taking picks away from RNG, it just leaves them open for such massive counter picks.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see now what the game plan will be against the Jayce. Like, we've seen that in matchups against the Jayce, you can go to, like, match range with range. You can take things like the Kennen if you really want to. Or if Xiaohu wants to go towards something a little different. I mean, he could even take things like the Lee Sin into this top lane and try and have that pressure away and set up a bunch of these kills. But we'll have to see what the plan is. Either way, though, we're still probably going to see things like the Varus come through here for RNG. I think taking something guaranteed in the support role wouldn't be the worst idea either, and keep that flexibility open for Xiaohu and for Wei with this Lee Sin pick.
Again, Gala in spring found the Kai'Sa. Very, very good on it. Very comfortable on it. And it does feel like right now RNG have found that same pick for them coming into Summer Split. It is the Varus. They put Gala onto that. They know they can leave bot lane on an island. And this time around, RNG are the ones who get the Twisted Fate.
JDG, I want to see a jungle here. I want to see the jungle. Okay, actually, I'm not as mad at that one. I was kind of going, hey, look, Kanavi, you can now get banned out. A lot of these top tier junglers already taken off the board, but I actually do like going towards the Ziggs. This is what we talked about in draft number 1, was like when you see a Varus, things that do very well that Loken plays. Ziggs and that Jhin. They end up leaving it towards that second rotation, not opting in towards either of those picks. And now instead we're getting to see this Ziggs. So now you're putting this pressure on towards RNG that you have to deal with this Ziggs before it becomes too big of an issue. Also, just the range that you have on JDG means you need to find opportunities to close that distance and get on top of them.
Well, they're going to focus on those support bans now. Nautilus banned away. LeBlanc here for RNG. So they're saying that Zoom is getting that Jayce into the top side. They are pretty confident in that, or at least they're confident enough to limit the choices. I wouldn't mind seeing a Sylas ban here from RNG. It is something Yagao has been able to pick up and is so far at the moment being just such a monster. Gwen going to be the final ban here from JDG. Did slip through the picks and bans right up until now, and we'll see a little bit of priority as we come into the final stage.
And now you're kind of looking like, okay, where are we going to prioritize the Shaco jungle banned away? So yeah, look, a little bit of respect given, but I think as well, you just know there's not a huge amount of junglers left available. I mean, if you look at what Kanavi's played, I mean, Rumble, Nidalee maybe, and then you're right down into like the Graves pocket pick that he brought out, and an Udyr game in there as well. There's not a huge amount left available, but it is going to be that Nidalee. So we are going pretty heavily here as JDG in towards that poke-oriented style, right? You're trying to play at long range. Now, when you look towards things like this Twisted Fate, can do a reasonably good job of making sure you can close that gap and get on towards this this relatively squishy backline of JDG.
See now what RNG want to pick as their last two. They still need a support and potentially a top laner or a jungler, depending on what way they want to go for it. I do like the Braum hover here, and they will lock it in. I like this a lot. It does mitigate a lot of what the side of JDG want to do. Can absorb a lot of the spears and accelerated shock blast that may come out. And now you're waiting to see what this last pick is going to be. Still a couple of picks on the board and available for the side of RNG, depending on what way they want to take it.
I'm going to be a bit funky. I wouldn't mind a Malphite. Actually, Camille kind of does the same job. Malphite does well against the, at least the top lane for Jayce, and also gives you that guaranteed engage tool. But I think that Camille can do well here as well. That lockdown again. And the big issue that I've seen right now for RNG is like, cool, Braum is good for counter follow-up, right? Same, Twisted Fate can set you up, but you need a little bit more to guarantee those engage tools. Well, the Camille can now set that up relatively well, but they are bringing in the rope-a-dope here from JDG. It is going to be that Jayce in the mid lane that you were talking about, Penguin, and we're going to get Zoom going back towards the Renekton. So, super strong matchup in that top lane for the Renekton. Really strong matchup for Yagao in that mid lane, and you've got wave clear for days for Loken in the bot. This is the game where Kanavi's now open to play that invade Nidalee stall. Try and play off that priority that you have in lane, steal away a bunch of these camps, and set way behind, set RNG behind, and get you to that game number 3.
And this is where we start to see if they can deal with the game plan from RNG. It has been put into sideway, put into that top lane, get that first turret. We've seen it time and time again. It's all about if JDG can mitigate it. They couldn't do it in game 1. They come into game 2 now with a fresh new style, a much more priority in the lanes.
Yeah, and this is where we're going to see, I think, JDG being a lot more comfortable. You don't really have as much here from RNG. We're like, cool, we can actually play like crazy aggressive. We can start to get some cool movements going with Cryin. Now you can still have Wei put a good amount of pressure towards that top and bottom half of the map, bottom side, sorry, of the map if you want, but certainly it feels like you've got a little bit of an easier time here as JDG, and especially as you start to progress on into this game, you've got like really nice curves that are coming through. You look towards like Nidalee, Jayce, you kind of spike off those two items, phenomenal. They're going to carry your mid game. You then look towards that late game where you got this Ziggs who's coming online, especially paired with LEona, Solar Flare into a Mega Inferno Bomb. Very sorry for you, Mr. Varus. You're dead. You don't have a chance at surviving that combo. So you definitely have a lot of tools here on this JDG side to try and play your game. But if RNG start to get ahead, if Cryin does get these windows where he starts to roam, Xiaohu's up and running, Gala's ahead, then it becomes very difficult for JDG to try and deal with that heavy engaged tools of Xiaohu and Cryin constantly jumping on top of you.
We'll have to wait and see. It is still 1-0 advantage for RNG coming into this game. JDG looking to bounce back and send us to a third game, but RNG, they'll be eyeing up another 2-0. It would be their 6th 2-0 in a row if they are able to get this one locked and loaded. JDG have a bit to say about that, as the Gyos ring true, and Ming takes a little bit of rest. He just took a bouncy bomb to the face, as you can see the mana bar lower for Loken and the health bar lower for Ming. And I want to
I love
talk
the way
about
the boat just back. It's just like, my health bar is slightly low. I've lost 60 mana as Loken. Alright, I'm back to base. Can't deal with this.
That's the funny thing is, I think actually regen, you actually get it back before. Like, if it's only like one attack or one spell, you literally get it back. So there's no real point in resetting. But nevertheless, we do actually see the Ignite teleport for Xiaohu in this top side. He did go with the Grasp of the Undying as well. So very much looking to survive in this lane. And like you said, shut down Zoom.
Yeah, this is not an easy matchup for the Camille. Like, pretty much until you get towards that third item, the Renekton has full control, and especially if he starts to get ahead, it becomes even more obnoxious. You can't really approach the wave, because the second you do, even to try and use your W, he just ends up double slice and dice in on top of you and like halves your health bar. It is really, really hard to Xiaohu here. So I think we will see Wei try to play up towards this top side, keep this matchup a little bit more even, or maybe even get Xiaohu ahead and try and just accelerate the point where Xiaohu is relevant and able to play this matchup better through a side lane.
We talked a lot about the poke, you know, the pure damage burst that can come out from JDG, as we can see Loken. The exhaust goes down. He has to flash away. Exhaust for a flash you take any day of the week. RNG doing very well. Come back to that in a minute, but I wanted to talk about what are RNG's win conditions. Where do they see themselves coming in and flourishing in this game if it's a dead even state?
I think the best way, at least in these early stages, is to have a bit of pressure. Oh, hang on.
Oh, flash forward with the Winter's Bite. The cleanse is going to be good. Loken will be taken down. The Ignite, though, ticking, and the auto attack is good. It's going to be a trade of AD carries in the bot side. Both supports still surviving, but it is still a very good sign for RNG's bot side.
The fact that Loken doesn't get the kill does hurt JDG, but he's not going to lose any minions, right? Oh, actually, he's just going to walk back to lane, but has that teleport still up and available if he wants to try and get down towards bottom side. Wei now, top lane.
Yeah, did not take his blue, and they're going to jump straight in onto Zoom, who's got himself a flash. If he wants to try and get away, he will, but the auto attack is good! And the Ignite that Xiaohu took is better. They're going to be able to get that top side rolling, and now the ball is all of a sudden looking very, very much in favor of RNG.
Oh, Kanavi, gonna see if he can land this spear onto Wei underneath the turret. Wei, I love this. So aware that Kanavi is probably in the area if he started bot side, so gonna play it safe. He will lose top scuttle, but gets the victory for Xiaohu. And this is what I wanted to see from Wei. You were just asking, hey, what's the early game plan for RNG here? Play it smart with Wei. Get your laners ahead, try and impact mid lane as well so you can double down on these plays top, but Wei does a really smart pathing, ditches the bottom side, so he actually bypasses the regular timing to get to top lane and catches Zoom by surprise.
On that way, going to find Kanavi here. Is going to be a spear landed. Kanavi needs a little bit careful. Not as tanky as you might assume. Xiaohu, though, with the hookshot wall shot, will get himself out. And Kanavi does get a little bit of vision down, but they don't get any camps.
Yeah, it wasn't quite able to finish off the Grump, and even though you had Yagao who had priority mid and was able to move across, not quite able to get as much as they'd like. But Cryin now, he's in trouble.
Cryin in a little bit of trouble. He's going to be forced to flash away, you imagine. No, LvMao does not commit because Ming was there. The counter engage you get with a Braum being able to be level 3, those concussive blows is just so powerful in the early side, and you cannot tower dive it.
Especially with LvMao still only level 2, right? He doesn't have access to his own W, so not exactly the tankiest, and always the opportunity for that CC to come down thick and fast and make sure you never get out from underneath that turret. So instead, it's actually kind of a net win for RNG, right? Wei got his full camps, could have been set further behind. We'll lose that on bot side, but TP now for Cryin.
They are doubling down on this top side. We will see Xiaohu, though, being taken down first as he goes underneath the tower. Will get himself the kill. The trade back is there, so you're still okay with that for JDG, but you're losing so much on the minion side. Now we look on bot lane. They're going to try and do their own move here. Spear does not land. Ming is here, and he's just playing keep away right now. Flash forward. There's the Xenoblade down onto the Braum. Puts up the Unbreakable. Still has to stand behind me, but he's not going to be able to get it off in time. They will pick up a kill in response, and this early game is just tit for tat.
And I liked what RNG were trying to do, right? Use that timing where Yagao had to reset, and Cryin had that little bit of an advantage when it came towards mana and that buy, but they end up trading 1-for-1 on top, and then you get the kill for JDG in that bottom half of the map as well. So answering a lot of these early plays from RNG and giving kills towards Loken, who will be the one that wants to try and scale up and have that better late game.
Didn't quite get the kills, but definitely getting the money and the plates from that tower as they come into this, first 5 minutes of the game. We have 6 minutes, so a kill a minute very much on the cards right now, as we can now see Ming maybe feeling a little bit more confident. There's no real mana here for Loken, so it's very difficult for them to do anything in response. But Wei now realizes that the Kanavi jungler has reset, not on the dragon, so he's going to be able to pick up that early objective for himself.
You can see the difference in XP though, right? And with Wei actually going towards this dragon, he's going to invest a lot of time. It's going to make him fall further and further behind. So Wei definitely not going to be able to keep up with this Nidalee. So we need to see him continue this impact towards the lanes. I want to see it towards mid. You're about to hit 6 here as Cryin, and he really needs to get a reset off so that he can have at least some impact when he actually gets that Destiny Gate up and available. But right now, Yagao moving out of this mid lane, playing with Kanavi, and it's JDG trying to force these plays up towards Xiaohu on the top lane.
Yeah, Xiaohu playing very respectfully right now, knows that his jungler and mid laner are not there, and JDG trying to give Xiaohu a little bit of his own medicine right now, showing exactly what it's like as Cryin does have the Destiny Gate and is sitting off to the side. We'll see Xiaohu just push himself in. Dominus has been popped. He's going for the wave right now, just put down the tactical sweep, but he's just been killed. I feel like that was really greedy there from Xiaohu. There was no need to do that.
I would want to see his experience bar because he was just level 5. I think he was hoping to kill a couple of those minions, hit level 6, and then get the follow-up lockdown and survive that little bit longer, push everyone away with that Hextech ultimatum. But unfortunately for him, does end up falling, not able to get that kill, and RNG end up wasting that Destiny into that play as well. So now JDG, they're the ones that are definitely controlling the pace of this game, and this is what I wanted from JDG. The way that RNG win this is getting ahead, controlling the map, and playing through side lanes with Cryin and Xiaohu. When they're going into this behind, it becomes a lot more difficult for them to find that tempo and use the pick potential they have with Xiaohu and Cryin. So JDG can set up for sieges, set up at objectives, and start to poke RNG down.
Well, level 6 just hit there by Xiaohu, so now has access to that Hextech ultimatum that you referred to, as we see a reset for Wei, goes back in and gets himself back, but he's 10 CS down, so about 2.5 camps behind this Nidalee. Hasn't been doing too badly, all things considered. Has been around the map, has been impacting the lanes, and that's exactly what we wanted to see him do. But for Xiaohu, this is a much different feel now. You can see JDG playing toe-to-toe, dancing to the tune, saying, right, if you're going to focus topside, we're going to focus topside, and they have got the tools available to them to actually make this one work.
Well, right now, RNG look like they're trying to use the tools they have to make a pick. You've got Xiaohu kind of hovering in that Rift Herald pit, trying to see if he can find anyone who's moving in to contest Ming on vision. And if they can pick someone off, which they can do incredibly quickly, they can find an opportunity to take this Rift Herald. But if JDG are able to set up and get these poke and kind of be the first on the objective, it'll be easier for them to force back RNG.
And you look on the minimap there, Loken is roaming up, but Kanavi walks straight into a bush. Kanavi, what are you doing? You just know they're there. You cannot just walk blindly. And LvMao loses his life as well, and RNG just get gifted 2 kills and a Rift Herald.
And we just said it. You go for this play, you need to make sure you're not giving that pick potential across to RNG, because the CC and the burst is way too high. 2 members of JDG walked through, and I'd love to say that this is like an isolated incident from JDG, but this happens so damn often. They have insanely high solo deaths when you look towards like Kanavi, Yagao, and LvMao specifically. And it's because of things like this where they just don't respect their opponents and end up getting caught out.
Just a massive blunder there from Kanavi. We'll have a look at the replay here, and you can see that they know that Ming and Cryin are around. They know that they're putting down vision. They just don't have it on that exact point. But you've got to make... They even see him on the ward. You've got to make the assumption.
Yeah, you know that they're in the bush. Like, there's no reason to push up that far either. Like, even you can see Yagao could have just checked with the accelerated shock blast. They could have just paused for a second, but JDG tend to fall into these places where they get these leads and then they end up trying to bite off more than they can chew. They try to do too much at once, and that's the situation there where they just don't have the patience to wait for Yagao, check the bush, and they get caught out.
That's a nice kill or two going over to the side of RNG. They also picked up the Rift Herald off the back of it as well. They have gotten all the neutral objectives so far, and Wei going back up to his favorite place in the world. It is, of course, top side into Xiaohu, and with this massive wave stacking, they may look for a dive. No Hextech ultimatum just yet, though, so it might be a little risky.
They still have the kick available, so might just be trying to boot Zoom completely away from that. But Zoom does have his own flash.
Oh, Zoom do have it. They're going to pop the Dominus. There's going to be the flash there. They do not land the Sonic Wave. Does he go down? No, he does not. The Ignite will not be enough to take him out. He will just survive as he pops down this pot. RNG, though, they know that Yagao is roaming up. They do not want to overcommit to this, so they use the Destiny. They also use Wave's flash, but they don't get any purchase.
A bit messy from RNG. You can see just individual missteps mean that they're not quite coordinated, and Zoom manages to get away. Like, missed Sonic Wave coming through from Wei could have been the disaster for the Renekton, but with Cavalry arriving for JDG, they managed to get away. Zoom also does manage to collect that wave as well, so doesn't even miss out on too much, and now can reset himself. So we get to see the replay here. Nerdy able to make this play work. Good damage on towards Xiaohu, but as you can see, we get the lock-in coming through for Xiaohu with the Dragon Kick, so Zoom stays put, and then as well, that missed Sonic Wave coming through from RNG, so a lot of miscommunication and messiness from RNG in that play.
Oh, that is unfortunate. The Dragon's Rage kit immediately just cancelled out, and it just means that he just, as you say, stays put, doesn't actually move anywhere. He's dead to rights if that kick goes any distance backwards. It's straight up just a kill, and now Wayne giving up this Dragon on bot side, going to try and move up towards this top lane, and maybe make this Rift Herald play work again.
I mean, look, there was a reason RNG were called the 4 wards plus Xiaohu in spring, and you're kind of seeing it here. It's like, all right, well, the last trio didn't work. Let's try the new trio. Oh, Xiaohu, you want to come as, or Cryin, you want to come as well?
Yeah, they're going to try and go from it. Oh, the Glacial Fissure is just perfect. They're going to be able to juggle this aggro as well so nicely. They have to commit 2 ultimates to it, but they will not care for that in the end. They get the job done, they get the Renekton killed, and they get first tower.
And what do you do as Zoom? You've been doing a great job all the time long in this laning phase. You've been trading well, you've been beating out Xiaohu, and then I was like, okay, I survived the first 2, we're doing good. All right, got some help from JDG, this is great. And then they sent 3, and then they sent 4, and then you're like, for the love of God, just leave me alone. I want to play my game.
It's just adding more and more people to it. It's like, well done, 1v3, you came out, you didn't die. 1v4, I don't know what to tell you, man. You got no ultimate, you got no flash, you got nowhere to go, and with that push in the top side from the Rift Herald at the second time, it is going to put that tier 2 very low. So any kind of hard engage or hard commitment from JDG on the bottom half of the map, that tower dies.
And well, you've now got, like, Xiaohu's already got that Triforce completed, not actually going for the Divine Sunder, so trying to play off more of the attack speed, and more than likely going to be realizing, hey, look, there's not a huge amount of bruisers for me to utilize the fact that I've got the 14% max health damage as a melee champion. I'm going to instead look to just burst them out with this Triforce. So for RNG, we'll have to see if Xiaohu now, how he wants to try and influence the map. You can see they've opted into this 1-3-1. Xiaohu going to be threatening this bot side and trying to keep that pressure over towards the Dragon that's going to be spawning in just 3 minutes.
Yeah, still a ways away, but maybe a Rift Herald play before then. We'll see what way that both these teams want to play it. 4 people in the mid lane, but against Ming and Gala, there's Braum Varus combination, and you only have a Ziggs to really go in and put down the poke. Well, the Jayce there as well. It's not really going to be much there as Xiaohu and Wei push up that wave. So they're just looking to try and push in and deny as many minions as possible, as they know they have pressure around the map.
Yeah, and look, you can see that JDG, they have really good vision control on this bottom side, right? They've even got one really far down the lane here on the bottom half of RNG to spot where they are coming from the lane. They have good control of the jungle. It just feels though like they're not fully being able to capitalize on it. They aren't looking for picks. They're not quite being able to poke at RNG and see if they can make these plays work.
It's a bit of a slow mid-game now as we come up to about 15 minutes just underneath it. It is a 6-4 kill lead in favor of RNG. 1 dragon apiece and a 400 or 500 gold lead in favor of RNG as well. So nothing too untoward. All 5 plates going down at bot and top for RNG and JDG respectfully. We now see this siege being put down. A lot of damage on the Gala. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb and the Dragon's Rage. So 2 ultimates traded, 1 each. And everyone just kind of backs away. And this is the poke siege that is just so good from JDG. The Jayce, the Nidalee, the Ziggs. Very difficult for anyone from RNG to really step up and take control.
And it's hard for Xiaohu to try and play towards this as well, right? Like, as RNG would love to try and make an engage on that, as you see everyone from JDG grouped up, but full vision control bot side for JDG means that Xiaohu can't really push that wave. In bot lane, he can't really move towards the jungle, towards mid, because he always runs the risk of getting caught out by someone like LvMao and Kanavi. So JDG doing a good job of trying to set themselves up for their own strengths. Now, it does mean RNG will take this top side of the map, will get this Rift Herald, and you will get the top lane pushed in as well, and may make it a bit harder for JDG to try and set themselves up properly for this dragon in a minute, where you can force priority with this Rift Herald.
Well, they'll take it there. LvMao had a feeling something was going on, and now has full confirmation of that, as RNG basically own the top half of the map. With that first tower going down, there is just so much. You can see slight pings there onto the tier 2 saying, look, we might be able to take this one. Minute until Dragon. There is no TP onto Cryin. Has swapped out to the heal for now, but TP should be available for Xiaohu very shortly, and this could be another big brawl as both sides look to secure themselves an objective on the Cloud Soul.
I feel like for RNG, we're probably going to get them to cede control of this dragon and actually look to go for like a play where they overload a side of the map with the Rift Herald. Like, if you can already see Xiaohu moving up top side, Cryin is going bot, and if Wei is on this top side, you can see they're not even looking for it. I'm pretty sure what they're going to try and do is instead make some sort of pick play onto whoever is left in this top side of the map for JDG and try and see if they can force something on towards this top inhibitor, or at least create that pressure elsewhere. Because if you're in a straight up 5v5 as RNG right now, you just don't have the damage to win that out.
I feel so bad for Cryin. I think both games, the early blue buffs have just not been given to him. He had to take his own blue buff in the last game to be like, I deserve this. I am the mid laner here. Like, this last game, it was Xiaohu getting it. This game, it's Gala. I think it's exactly what you talked about, though. They are going to try and secede this, but Wei does not know there's 2 people standing in this bush. Still doesn't know there's 2 people standing in that bush, and the trigger discipline right now from the side of JDG is very good. They're going to even commit the TP to this. Is Xiaohu in a little bit of trouble. There's the Dragon's Rage kick to try and disengage, but it's a good, nice lockdown onto Xiaohu. They get the dragon and they get everything.
But the pick is back on towards Kanavi, the one person that was left to actually finish off the dragon RNG respond with. So it's 1 for 1, and although it nearly looked good from JDG, they end up getting that kill back in favor of RNG as well. So now, pressure on into this mid lane. We still have the Rift Herald as well. It wasn't committed in the top side, so RNG plonk it down in the mid lane and look to take the mid lane turret.
And you got so much poke coming out here from the side of JDG, but you got to be able to try and burst this one down. Don't think they're going to be able to do it. That's going to be mid lane tier 1 taken out. Ming looking for something. The Chain of Corruption was committed, but not gained. And that's going to be a full retreat here now for RNG. They know they've not got really great engage right now without the Camille, and they have to respect the damage that can come out from JDG.
And I was so ready to praise JDG to no end for that play. I loved the way they read RNG there. We called it was like, look, RNG aren't going to contest. They're going to try and overload top side of the map. They're there to try and keep that in play. But the greedy pathing from Kanavi to try and get back in towards relevancy of like where he was positioned on the map means he ends up getting caught out. So you can see here, phenomenal. I love this from JDG. Having that Ziggs TP in as well, making sure to finish this off. But watch Kanavi on the mini-map. He's roaming up towards mid lane, which means he's just in range for the Destiny. Cryin then flashes in on top of him, whereas if you had actually gone through the other jungle route and walked the long way around, sure, your mid lane might end up being under a bit of pressure, but you'll be a hell of a lot safer and not give that 1-for-1 trade and lose your mid lane on top of that.
Yeah, you do gain the dragons, so it is still a trade of objectives. A tower for a dragon and a kill for a kill, as RNG find themselves in about 1,000 gold lead coming up to the 20-minute mark. And Xiaohu definitely feeling a little bit more focused, I think, in this game from JDG. Definitely feeling like he is getting the brunt of their rage, but Wei is not deterred. Wei is still feeling like he can make something happen with this Xiaohu Camille combination, but I think the Kanavi and LvMao are very well aware of it.
Yeah, especially with the resets coming through from Cryin. There's no other pressure on the map, so JDG just commits several members towards this top side. Now, you need help here as Xiaohu. Like, there is the potential dive here for Zoom.
There is a dive available. Zoom does pop the dominance. He's just going to use it to secure that top tier 1. So Ping's going down onto the bot side. You can see them there from the blue team saying, look, we need to take this turret. We need to make a response here. As RNG kind of getting a little bit stagnant right now. They're not really finding as many rotations as they were in game 1. They're feeling like they're kind of doubling down on that top side, but you're doubling down on something that is, at the moment, a losing matchup. You're 40 CS down, you're equal on kills, but the Renekton, like you mentioned, is still going to be stronger until you hit about 2.5 items.
And it feels like there's a few of these roadblocks in the way of RNG. Now, I might hold off as they are looking potentially to dive bot, but the problems that you're seeing from RNG is, yeah, side lane, not really in their favor right now. Xiaohu still needs to, remember, he said, get to 3 items. So probably 2.5 to take over against Zoom, but he's still a long way away from that. And as well, when you're trying to play these side lanes, Ziggs is great when you try to play this 1-3-1 style against them, because he extends off Mega Inferno Bomb to a side lane, he controls the entire map from this mid lane. So it becomes really difficult to try and create these pressures as RNG, and you can see it right now where Loken happily sitting in his mid lane, clearing out a wave every time Gala shoves it in, and then he's constantly just roaming back and forth between the two lanes as RNG try to put pressure onto it. Look, you can see it on the minimap now. A little bit of RNG members bot side. Okay, cool. I'll just play off towards the bottom side of the map here from this mid lane and make sure I can be there with the Mega Inferno Bomb.
He said a little bit, and I instantly went into Mambo number 5. Like, straight away, my head just went like a little bit of man, and it's
a great song.
It's a fantastic song. You know how much I love that song from when we were in Shanghai. It's just I forced you to come dance.
So, for anyone who doesn't know, Penguin is a much smaller person than me.
Yes.
I was surprised by how quickly I was dragged to the dance floor as soon as Mambo number 5 came on. I didn't have a choice.
There was no choice here. It was lose your arm or come dancing. That's what it was. As we can see now, with it 40 seconds of this dragon spawning, this would put JDG onto soul point. But RNG are just trying to see if they can find someone off to the side, see if they can get any kind of pressure. You have a Ravenous Hydra now for the Camille. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb on top of Gala, as they do end up putting out the Chain of Corruption onto Yagao, so he cannot exert. But it's a 1v1, and in the top side, Zoom takes that 1v1 and gets the kill. Cryin commits the Destiny as well, and oh no, Dagda, it's all falling apart.
It was too late. I didn't see where Cryin was, but it was a 2-level disadvantage for Xiaohu in that top lane, and he tries to go for the 1v1. Despite the ignite, he still falls, and now you've got members of JDG CG mid lane.
They've got this with them in satchel charge as well. Ming taking so much damage. He will go down to about 1/10 of his HP, but that just means that JDG guarantee themselves this third Drake, and RNG just don't have any answers. Similar to JDG in game 1, it feels like JDG are the ones dictating the pace, dictating everything that RNG cannot and cannot do.
Yeah, and people will look at the gold lead and go, well, it's dead even, you know, it's not really like they're in the lead. It is because of the way their composition operates on both sides, but we're going to get a quick replay here. You can see Xiaohu goes to engage. I think he thought Cryin was going to be able to get here a lot faster. Like, had the ghost, you can see him barreling through that mid lane to try and get there, but just ends up going down too fast. Zoom gets the kill, and it's too late for Cryin to get in there. But that's the problem here for RNGs. We talked about their compositions, right? JDG are a composition that are phenomenal when ahead. It is really damn hard to try and break a siege from this team. And you can see it there. They all just plunk themselves into the mid lane, start taking pop shots at RNG, and they're sent running as that mid lane tower goes down. The only way you can try and fight that as RNG is by utilizing pressure in like your side lanes, trying to use this Destiny, look for picks, and break the stranglehold that JDG have on the map. But when you try and go for that and Xiaohu missteps, goes that bit too far and falls, that entire play shuts down, and JDG just get more pressure elsewhere.
There was a ward that spotted out Wei walking up towards this top side. Yagao has been pretty quiet in this game, but he hasn't really had much to do, as we now know Kanavi walking in, spots a ward, and these accelerated shock blasts are starting to do a lot of damage. You can see now Xiaohu just trying to get back up into the levels. 2 levels, like you mentioned, behind, and really struggling into this matchup, not having a good time whatsoever, and just has to walk away from the Renekton every single time. He should not die as long as he doesn't engage, but if you use that hook shot, wall shot to engage, you're just dead.
Wei sitting up here with Cryin. I'm
They
trying
know
to
he's
see
there.
if they're... Yeah, they're, like, you can see Wei is trying desperately to work with these split pushes, set them up as Yagao.
Oh, he's going to go back in his way. He's trying to keep himself alive, but they're going to try and turn this one back around. They go back in on top of him, and they make the pick work, but they're not able to get Wei out. It's a one-for-one trade, but now Cryin, where are you going to go, buddy? There's nowhere for you to be. There's nowhere for you to go. There's no support coming either. He's 1v4 right on top of him. 3 points from the backcourt is that Mega Inferno Bomb, and Zoom gets himself his 5th kill of the game.
And highlights beautifully what we were just explaining, that you just cannot try and play these side lanes as well when you're in a position where you're behind. It becomes so much easier for JDG to respond with multiple members, and there's no pressure on the map to try and play off the fact that JDG have sent 4 members to the top half of the map. Yes, Xiaohu finally pushes in this bot lane, but mid lane isn't under any threat. And honestly, you're about to trade a tier 1 on the bot side of the map for RNG for a tier 2 on the top lane with Zoom already pressuring up there.
Xiaohu is 3 levels behind right now, Dagda. He just doesn't, as long as the Renekton is not there, he doesn't care right now. He's just like, get away from me. I want nothing to do with you. They will not lose the tier 2 in bot side because Wei went to deal with it, but this is dire straits right now for the side of RNG. They just need time, but I don't know if JDG are going to give it to them.
And I think this goes back to the creativity that we saw from JDG in draft. But
oh, nicely done there, utilizing the
Baron.
ward, and that could be Baron. Everyone just reset.
they just reset. You're missing Ziggs. They don't even have the TPs to get here, Penguin. RNG, how do you do that? How do you find the miracle pick?
And in a world where JDG make all of the right decisions, make all of the right moves, it is RNG that come out with a nice little pick. You can see Ming putting up the Unbreakable to try and take this one down. They're going to try and go for the steal. They jump in straight in. Wei goes back in. They will get the Baron for RNG as LvMao goes golden to try and keep himself alive. And in this fight, the very big Crocodile gets himself into the middle of the team, and these stopwatches are just buying so much time for JDG. They will take down 2 more members of RNG, and the rest of RNG will try and run away. They have to try and keep these Baron buffs alive.
They're on the run, though. They need to get away from here. Mega Inferno Bomb.
Oh no, there's just too much poke, there's just too much damage, and they lose 4 for none. And this is just JDG saying, yes, you get the Baron, but you're not going to be able to use it.
They get the pick, and they don't burn the Baron fast enough. They just don't have the damage because they've been set behind, and now you can see the results where they just end up falling down. A great pick here from Ming and Gala. You don't even realize you're back on the ward there as Loken, but then look how slow they actually take this down. They don't really have the damage. Wei does a phenomenal job of keeping Kanavi out, but you've now committed so much to make this play happen. And RNG, I think the biggest mistake they made here was actually trying to fight. I think if you just run for the hills, Cryin gets out, you can get over and just run out as Gala and, you know, give a sacrificial lamb. But unfortunately for them, they stick around too long. Yagao gets in a great spot with the flank here, and with LvMao on the side as well, they just don't have anywhere to run to.
Yeah, and the TP there used by Loken to get himself in range, to use that Mega Inferno Bomb to secure those kills for the side of JDG, and they're going to be able to use this pressure now they have on the map to be able to pick themselves up a dragon. LvMao is around, so didn't want to go fully onto Xiaohu, but it's the sole point. It is only a cloud, but you're a Renekton, you're a LEona, you're a Ziggs. That extra little burst of movement speed is so big for you.
And it's, I mean, you kind of talk about it, but it's underrated as well on picks like Kanavi and Yagao, right? You end up transforming so many times in a fight that you end up getting this big burst of move speed, which is super, super nice as well. So I think you got a lot of options here as JDG off of this, plus having those big ultimates that you talk about makes such a massive difference. Now, you can see, at least from RNG, they're like, right, they are committed to Dragon. We need to start getting these towers, start to play elsewhere on the map. We actually have 1 Baron buff left, which is on Cryin. Might get an inhibitor turret with this.
They might do, and that's a really good trade-up for RNG, being smart about the game right now. And you can see RNG just trying to stop everyone from getting the backs off, trying to lay them from trying to collapse on this top side. And you've cracked open the base. This is a good move here from the side of RNG, given all things.
And a really smart play as well, because you can see with Cryin as well, even when he walks out, he pops the Destiny. RNG are going, hey, look, if we end up seeing a separated JDG because they're trying to respond to this play, we can try and make a play of our own. We can try and get these picks happen, but managed to escape away. RNG now getting control back in the map. Now, you would have to try and fully overcommit this top side of the map. Like, TP from Xiaohu, Cryin, have Wei there, and maybe try and look for some sort of miracle play towards like the Dragon of 5 minutes, see if you can end the game through that. But it's a tall order for a backdoor, but there is now that small, brief window of opportunity for RNG where maybe they can make the magic happen.
For RNG, yes, you lose Cloud Soul, but the gold is very, very even. They're only 1,000 behind. They have finally gotten Xiaohu onto 3 items, and Yagao pushing forward a little bit. I don't think he's going to push much further than this little crumbled down turret, and this is going to give Xiaohu up to the minions now as he tries to get up to that level 16. Still 2 levels behind, but now levels are becoming less of a big deal because you're starting to hit caps. Zoom has literally 1 more level and he's at max levels. This gold lead isn't really anywhere else. Items are starting to come in. 3 items for Xiaohu, 3 items for this Twisted Fate, 3 items for Gala. If this game keeps going on, the advantages that JDG were able to garner just don't make as much of an impact.
I agree. The only problem is that Zoom, as long as being, max level, is also 1 item away from max items. He's a big old boy. So the problem was that we were saying, hey, look, if you're even Steven, about 3 items, Xiaohu starts to take over this matchup. Not so much right now, especially with that chain sword, picked up. It means you've got a little bit of safety, but Zoom
is going to get caught out here. They're going to try and commit 2 TPs to try and save him, though. He's taking a lot of damage. He flashes in. Stairskate has been popped. They're just kiting this one out very, very nicely. They can't really take him out just yet, though. They will get both teleports, though, from the side of JDG. And they will not be available in a minute to half-time.
And this is now how RNG can play through that top lane. TP on Xiaohu, TP on Cryin. They can look to try and make a pick on that top lane and plow through that top half of the map. So now RNG can try and play smartly with these teleports. But unfortunately for Zoom, just taking that step too far forward, not respecting the fact that he didn't have the support and RNG were in the area. And even though he managed to get picked, he doesn't go down. He just said this is a big old croc, and you can see it there. It takes a lot to deal with this Renekton right now.
He's even got an elixir in the back pocket now for this Baron fight. He knows he needs to be as strong as he possibly can be. And for RNG, yes, you gain 2 teleports, you even gain the flash out of Zoom, but you don't lose anything as themselves. As Wave going to be trying to clear out this wave. I don't think they can right now. Solarflare has been committed, though, and this is just Xiaohu and Cryin just saying, right, mid lane, you got to deal with this. We're going bot.
Yeah, they're trying to rush it, and they're trying to see if they can 2v2 against the Renekton here. Zoom, though, just got to focus on the creeps, clear them out, and it means that JDG have managed to get that tower for nothing. Way, though, in trouble.
In a little bit of trouble. Kanavi will not land the spear. They're still pushing, still prodding to see if they can get him. They are going to see LvMao flash forward, which burns the flash from way and the Glacial Fissure from the Braum. So, big ultimates down here for RNG,
Zoom,
and they're losing it.
Zoom
might be in dead, but is Zoom dead, or is he going to be the one getting the kills? He gets 1! He's going to be able to maybe look for another. The flash has to be committed as the observers finally get themselves down to this bot side where all the action was happening. This crocodile's just too damn big.
Zoom is a menace in this game. We said you need to shut this guy down. This is why. Now JDG off the back of that turn towards Baron.
Oh, this is risky, though. There's a lot of poke that can come in. We're going to see if Wade can get in there to try and get the steal down. I don't think he's going to be able to get it down. No, he won't. It's going to be JDG picking up the Baron, and then the fight can really start. Cryin has no flash, but a great 2-man Everfrost means that Yagao is locked up, but with a flash of his own, he's able to get on right on top. JDG in firm control of this game, and they might look just to run up mid and end this game.
I mean, JDG, the D stands for Dundee, because this crocodile is popping the hell off. The fact that Zoom has managed to 1v2 in that bottom lane, and now give JDG the Baron off that play, JDG can close out game number 2.
Got themselves a minion wave into this mid lane. Tier 3 inhibitor turret does fall. Inhibitor down. Now, do you look to fully commit to this one here? As we can see Zoom popping that dominance, having the extra ability haste. He goes back in. Dragon's Rage back out. And this is going to be all about wave clear here for the side of Gala. He needs to just kill these minions, and he has done it so far. And now these health bars are low. Flash forward, Chain of Corruption. Can they take him down? No way. He's the first to fall. This crocodile too damn big. He's just not dying now. He finally goes down. But you've lost 2 more members and only gained 1 for yourself.
They hold on to the base, though. RNG just barely managing it, and you could see the low health bars in the backline. Loken nearly dead, Kanavi nearly dead, but it's not quite enough, and we're going to get this replay here. I mean, I'm not sure what the communication here was. It feels like Cryin just kind of late to the party, but even then, like, Zoom, he's massive. 2 levels up on either of these opponents. He's also got the healing reduction in this matchup as well, so the Ravenous Hydra just not doing as much. Divine Sunder not there to really deal with the health bar as well. And then this is where we see JDG, they get the Baron and they turn off on towards this fight as well and just finish off so many members of RNG.
Elder Dragon has spawned. I believe Wei is coming up or has respawned onto the map. So he is still there and will be running straight towards this objective. Now, JDG, you've done so much good work. You've been able to put yourself in such a good position, but now you cannot lose this objective. This is a game-ending buff for either of these teams. Neither is going to want to try and risk a 50-50.
And there's no space for RNG to make fancy map plays. This has to be a straight-up fight. Cryin
with the Destiny Gate and the gold card, but he's deleted. No one can follow up on him on the CC, and now RNG are 4v5 as they come into this fight. There's the Hextech ultimatum onto Loken, but he's got a Zhonya's, so he keeps himself alive. The dominance has been popped as Zoom is on this Elder Drake. You still have both junglers. It's getting very tense, Dagda.
Yeah, Xiaohu doesn't have the TP, so he's stuck at this fight with half HP. Cryin gone.
For the
and
end.
JDG, they say, screw this. We've got a base, your base in the way. We can just run through mid.
The one thing RNG will have, though, they will be able to get back and defend this, so the game will not end just yet. The TP comes in. I feel like that's a little bit of an overcommitment right now. They have super minions. They have the Baron up for another 6 seconds. They're trying to look for the end right here, right now, and they do have a Ziggs as well. Xiaohu taken down to about half HP. He can't really go in. There's the Dragon's Rage kick. Good enough to disengage. There's Loken, and Loken's dead. They can't take the fight anymore. They cannot take the towers, and JDG have to run back.
You've got no Destiny, no TP for Cryin, though he has just spawned, as RNG will kick JDG out of the base. This is Loken dead for 40 seconds, and Elder Dragon is up. The fumble may have just happened for JDG. They need to recover.
The ball is still in the air. They still have control over it if they can just make sure they do not get spotted. They're looking for a pick. They're looking for Wei, but they've given themselves a good poke onto Cryin and Gala. But now RNG know it's a 5v4. Do they look to try and re-engage this fight? The Destiny Gate onto the backside. Cryin died again. But can RNG take this fight after the end of it? Zoom jumps straight in onto Gala, but the Chain of Corruption stops him dead in his track. It's Zoom for the life of JDG to keep them in this game. Xiaohu falls. Zoom is supreme, and they will take the fight, they will take the ace, and they will take the game.
Zoom is dominant in this game. Kanavi gets a quadra kill, but it was gifted by Zoom. This guy is monstrous. He refuses to die, and JDG in the 4 versus 5 will come out with the win.
The crocodile got too big, and there was nothing that RNG could do. They will be forced into a game 3, their first third game series in 6 matches. Absolutely fantastic work from JDG, and they earned themselves a right to challenge for this win.
And so much of this was down to that early pressure going toward the top side with Kanavi and Yagao. Responding beautifully after seeing what had happened in game number 1, we get Kanavi consistently going towards that top lane, making sure that Zoom is safe, making sure this Renekton's not falling behind. And we saw it there, once this matchup is going head to head, it takes so long for Camille to be able to get a lead. Zoom is monstrous, and even in the 1v2 scenarios, he's winning out on side lanes. And when you get to that point, there's just no hope for this RNG composition. The entire comp is revolved around picks that you can make, overloading on a side lane and being able to play that style, and you just never got the opportunity to do it in this game.
It really was just a fantastic answer to everything that RNG did in game 1, in game 2 for JDG. It was, we know what you're going to try and do, we know how you're going to try and do it, and we have an answer for it. You even see Xiaohu doing literally the most damage of anyone on his team, but it doesn't matter because Zoom had just become so tanky, so unbelievably undealable. It didn't matter who you were putting on. That damage was purely onto the Renekton.
Yeah, and it was purely into Asterix Gauge Shield. It was purely into a guy who's like healing triple the amount that you could deal to him, it felt like. And this is where, again, like, I loved the draft from JDG, right? We're saying, hey, look, an answer for the Varus, the Ziggs, perfect, late game scaling. You'd already taken the Jayce off the board, so now you got this incredibly potent poke composition, or at least this siege potential. And finally, just coming in and swapping last minute with the Renekton in the top lane, not allowing this Camille to actually get ahead, gave just so much to JDG, and I loved the way they played around the top lane, as we already pointed out. So I think a really smart job from JDG, both in draft, the way they operated in the game. There were a few still missteps where, you know, people getting caught out in positions that they shouldn't be, or backing on wards like we saw from Loken, but they were crucially able to get the ball across the line.
And the big thing as well, I know we meme a lot about the Cloud Soul, but having triple Cloud Drakes into a Cloud Soul meant that Zoom's ultimate, the dominance, was up every 40 seconds. It was literally, he used it, he popped out, they disengaged. As soon as the next fight came in, he had it back. So just having that constant rage bar building up and knowing that he could be a tank in the front line, that he was never going to be bursted down even after he used his dominance, was so key for JDG. And now RNG, they gotta figure this one out. The strategy that has worked, tried and tested the last 5-6 series, and even the last 10-11 games has not worked in this one. JDG have found themselves an answer.
I think what we'll probably see coming into game number 3 is, like, if RNG have the option to go on towards red side, start to look towards seeing if they can get that counter pick for Xiaohu, and then they'll be better situated. It felt like a lot of the issues that we saw were just the Renekton suddenly being thrown into the mix when they weren't expecting it. So we'll have to see what our draft is going to be as we come into game number 3.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. We're going to throw it to a quick break, but when we return, the culmination of this, the finale, if you will, of this best of 3 shall be right around the corner. We'll see you guys.